Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. This is Gianni DePoce, your host. It's great to be back with you. It's Friday, so that means that it's time to review the geocosmics of the past week, the week ahead, and how it impacted financial markets. So here on Friday, we had a higher than expected producer price index report for the month of July. This kind of vindicates our suspicions that inflation may not actually be over, and we could see another wave into the end of the year. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen here. On Thursday, we had the consumer price index come in. It was a bit mixed. It beat on some estimates and came in below some estimates. But the producer price index, what really interests me on that is that's often seen as a leading indicator to consumer prices, because more often than not, producers just pass off those higher prices onto consumers. But taking a look at the Dow here, we've just been in a consolidation mode over the last couple of weeks here, hanging out near the multi-month highs. This past week, we started off with Sun square Jupiter on the 6th, and then we had retrograding Venus square Uranus. And a lot of times we see breaks of key technical support or resistance. And we've been trading up against support across many equity indices, but it's held thus far. And so depending on where we are in the primary cycle in stocks, if we're in an older one, we would continue to look for a sustained correction over the next couple of weeks. But if we're in a newer one, we could see a resolution to the upside, a break of resistance instead. But with Uranus, you never really know. It's the planet of unpredictability and the things you never saw coming. Taking a look at the NASDAQ is lagging, unsurprisingly, not liking the higher than expected inflation report here on Friday. And it does look like we did break support here so far. It's still pretty early in the trading session, though, but going out near the lows of the week, right now it's poised to do so. A little bit of a bid off the lows of the day so far, but that is typically construed as bearish price action. Now, looking ahead into next week, we're going to start off on Sunday with a conjunction between the Sun and retrograding Venus. And then we're going to have the Sun move into a square aspect with Uranus on the 15th, followed by a trine between Mars and Uranus on the 16th. So once again, a lot of Uranus signatures over the next several trading sessions, which again leaves us open to breaks of support or resistance. Now, Uranus also rules tech, so it's not a surprise that we're seeing tech lead the way lower. Tech has started to underperform the market again, but what has started to outperform the market again is crude oil, USO, the ETF, which is what we track in the monthly MMA ETF report, has held on to its gains pretty nicely and rallied to a new multi-month high this past week. So this is looking pretty good for the energy bulls, but is a bit of a concern with respect to the notion that inflation is over. So let's take a look at the 10-year interest rate on the Treasury. And we can see that it's rising here off perhaps a higher bit of inflation expectations over the next couple months in bonds. And of course, this is setting bond prices lower. And I think that it's going to be a tailwind for the Dow in various segments of the inflation trade sectors like energy, basic materials, industrials are going to be in a better position to outperform over the next several months if inflation does indeed start to pick back up. So this is something we will monitor and keep readers of the ETF report, especially for USO, updated on. Now, I want to take a look at home builders, XHB, which is another ETF we track in the monthly ETF report. And this one, is really real estate, I would say, has been the surprise of the year so far with respect to its strength, and I think that speaks to Saturn being in the sign of Pisces. Saturn rules real estate, Pisces rules confusion. So many people expecting a significant real estate correction. And granted, there have been segments of the real estate market on a regional basis that have experienced notable pullbacks. But I think there's a lot of confusion, and I really think that's representative of Saturn moving through the sign of Pisces. So perhaps there are some opportunities in real estate still, and home building especially, because there's such a low supply of existing homes on the market. So really, the home building sector of the real estate market has held up exceptionally well in comparison to the rest of the real estate market. Let's take a look at GDX, the gold mining ETF. It's starting to stabilize from its decline here. It was down for most of this week. We had heliocentric Mercury, moving to Sagittarius last week, and that has a pretty strong correlation to a nice rally in the precious metal market, but it does fail about 20 to 25% of the time, and it hasn't really materialized yet this far. Ray pointed out on his Twitter account that it seems that Venus retrograde overpowered the heliocentric Mercury into Sagittarius transit. And so we have to see how this materializes, but precious metal bulls can look forward to the transit of Mars through Scorpio later this fall. That's something that precious metal traders will need to keep an eye on. And last and certainly not least, I want to take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin seeing a nice bid here on Friday. The futures are up more than the cash market, but pretty constructive week thus far. It's still been consolidating within this multi-month broadening wedge formation, and then even on a more recent basis, you could argue that we've been within this descending channel here of the sort. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw another move higher over the next couple sessions, given we're still in the orb of retrograding Venus square Uranus, and I would like to see some sort of resistance or support broker. And if you want to make an argument that we already did that earlier this week with this nice update on the 8th of October, or on the 8th of August, excuse me, which was actually one day before Venus square Uranus, then I would have a difficulty taking issue with you. But Bitcoin still posturing in a bullish manner as long as it stays above 27, 28,000. I think that the crypto bulls can at least rest easily at night. So that takes care of all of the charts that I wanted to review with you today. I just wanted to remind all of our viewers that we will be publishing the monthly cycles report this Monday and Tuesday. All of our analysis on stocks, bonds, currencies, and commodities will be updated for our readers. And another announcement worth sharing is that we're actually going to be shifting the day of these weekly market recap videos to Wednesdays going forward. So we're going to start that next week. So we're going to have a midweek update instead of the end of the week update. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. You can check us all out at www.mmacycles.com, and we'll see you next week, midweek instead. Thank you.